Our planet is a library of stories. Its rocks and ice hold the tales of creatures so magnificent, so strange. We have found their bones, colossal skeletons that speak of a different world. We can piece together their forms, measure their immense size, and even deduce what they might have eaten for their last meal. We see the evidence of their lives etched into the very fabric of the earth. And yet, a profound, overwhelming silence hangs over these lost worlds. A silence that has persisted for millions of years. Think of the sounds of our world, the chatter of birds at dawn, the low hum of insects on a summer's evening, the distant call of a wolf under a full moon. Now imagine all of that stripped away. Imagine standing in a Mesozoic forest among towering ferns and giant reptiles, yet hearing nothing. How does one begin to reconstruct a voice that has been silent for millennia? The journey starts not with sound, but with stone. Fossils are our primary witnesses. A skull is more than just bone. It's a blueprint for the head that housed a brain, eyes, and the structures that produce sound, the size and shape of nasal cavities, the presence of crests or domes, the structure of the throat, all whisper clues. From these ancient bones we turn to the modern world, bioacoustics. Study vocal tracts of birds, study resonating chambers of crocodiles, build a library of possibilities. Hadrosaur hollow crest compared to bird chambers, compared to musical instruments like a trombone. The toolbox for this sonic resurrection is wonderfully diverse, blending old-school paleontology with cutting-edge technology. The foundational tool remains the fossil itself. Every groove, every foramen where a nerve might have passed. CT scanners create detailed 3D skull models, reconstruct missing soft tissues, larynx, syrinx, cartilage. The digital model of a throat, a nasal passage, a cranial crest becomes a virtual instrument. Run computer simulations, push virtual air through passages, alter air pressure, change tissue tension, and explore acoustic possibilities. Computer calculates resonances, turning fossil data into audible hypotheses. The ghost in the machine begins to find its voice. Finally, physical modeling answers the rest. To test resonance, researchers build life-sized Parasaurolophus crest replicas. They use PVC piping and fiberglass, assemble the instrument and blow air through it, a giant prehistoric horn. This confirms the haunting sounds from simulations could have been real, a quest that pushes science and imagination. For decades, the Tyrannosaurus rex has been defined in our collective imagination by a single terrifying sound, a thunderous, high-pitched roar. This image, popularized by cinema, is dramatic and unforgettable. But is it accurate? The latest scientific investigations suggest that the voice of the Tyrant King may have been something far stranger, and perhaps even more unsettling. The evidence points not towards a mammalian roar, but to a sound rooted deep in its reptilian ancestry, avian ancestry. A roar, after all, requires a larynx and vocal cords, structures that T-Rex likely did not possess in the way a lion does. Instead of a roar, scientists now believe T-Rex may have produced infrasound, extremely low-frequency noises that are felt as much as they are heard. Think not of a lion but of a crocodile, an alligator. These modern archosaurs produce deep, threatening rumbles. A T-Rex, with its enormous chest cavity, would have been perfectly equipped to generate such powerful, bone-shaking vibrations. It might have been a sound that you felt in your gut long before you consciously heard it. Some paleontologists speculate that it may have used a closed-mouth vocalization similar to the booming calls of an ostrich or the cooing of a pigeon. This type of sound is produced by pushing air into an esophageal or tracheal pouch, creating a deep resonating thrum without ever opening the mouth. Imagine a 40-foot-long predator, its massive jaws clamped shut, emitting a deep pulsing boom that seemed to come from the very earth itself. This is not the sound of a movie monster, it is the hypothesized voice of a real animal, a sound engineered for intimidation and dominance in a world we can now, for the first time, begin to truly hear. As we move forward in time from the age of reptiles to the age of mammals, the sounds become perhaps more familiar, yet no less awe-inspiring. The woolly mammoth, that icon of the Ice Age, is a creature we know a great deal about. We have not only their colossal skeletons but also, in some extraordinary cases, their soft tissues preserved in Siberian permafrost. This preservation gives us a much clearer picture of their vocal anatomy, allowing for a more confident reconstruction of their voice. The key to the mammoth's voice lies in its relationship to its modern-day cousin, the elephant. By studying the larynx, the vocal tract of African and Asian elephants, scientists build an accurate model of how a mammoth produced sound. The basic mechanics would have been similar, a deep, powerful rumble from a massive chest modified and amplified by a long, flexible trunk. However, a mammoth was not simply a hairy elephant. Subtle anatomical differences gave its voice unique character. These differences suggest an even lower fundamental frequency than today's elephants. Its call might have been deeper, richer, more resonant, a trumpet for the vast, windswept Pleistocene steppe. Hearing this digitally reconstructed sound is profoundly moving. It is the sound of a lost world, a call that once echoed across the frozen tundras. A mother calling her calf, a great bull challenging a rival. It connects us to the great megafauna that shared this planet with our early ancestors. When we hear the mammoth's trumpet, we are not just hearing a recreated noise, but a voice from our deep past. To truly appreciate the richness of a lost world, we must listen not just for a single voice, but for the entire orchestra. Imagine standing in a forest in the late Cretaceous period, some 75 million years ago. The air is warm and humid. In the canopy above, pterosaurs glide between trees. They may have chattered and clicked, using high-frequency sounds to navigate and communicate. Smaller dinosaurs, fleet-footed ornithomimids, called with bird-like chirps and whistles while they foraged in the undergrowth. Down on the forest floor, bass notes are laid down. Great herds of hadrosaurs, duck-billed giants, were the virtuosos of this orchestra. Many like Parasaurolophus had extraordinary head crests with long, hollow nasal passages. These crests acted like biological trombones. Forcing air through those chambers could produce low, resonant calls, haunting, mournful tones that carried for miles. Those calls served as contact signals for the herd, or as warnings of approaching danger. Each sound occupies its own acoustic niche, a frequency and pattern to cut through ambient noise. It transforms the silent diorama into a vibrant, noisy ecosystem, a world of communication, of social interaction, of constant vigilance. It is the sound of life itself, played by an orchestra of giants. There is a profound and undeniable emotional power in hearing these voices from the past. It is one thing to look at the skeleton of a mammoth mounted in a museum hall. It is another thing entirely to hear the deep, resonant call that once emanated from its living chest. In that moment, the millions of years that separate us seem to collapse. The fossil is no longer just an object, it becomes the remnant of a creature that lived, breathed, and communicated. This experience taps into something deep within us, a fundamental connection to the living world. The sounds are at once alien and strangely familiar. Hearing these sounds also forces us to confront the reality of extinction in a much more visceral way. Ultimately, this journey into sound is a journey into wonder. It reawakens the sense of childhood awe. It allows us for just a few moments to close our eyes and stand on the shores of a prehistoric sea, or in the heart of a carboniferous forest, not as passive observers but as listeners. We become time travelers of the ear, eavesdropping on the conversations of a lost world. These reconstructed sounds are more than just scientific curiosities, they are a bridge across the vast chasm of deep time. They connect our modern technology-filled world with ancient ecosystems that rose and fell long before the first human ever walked the earth. Sound travels through time in a way that images cannot. While we can see the fossil, we must imagine the flesh. But when we hear the hypothesist call, we are experiencing a physical phenomenon, the vibration of air, governed by the same universal laws of physics that governed it then. This bridge allows us to understand the interconnectedness of all life on our planet. The discovery of a syrinx-like structure in a late Cretaceous fossil solidifies the evolutionary path from giant reptile to garden songbird. The deep rumbles of a T-Rex connect it to its crocodilian cousins. These sonic connections trace the branches of the tree of life, reminding us that we are all part of one grand, continuous story of adaptation, survival, and change. Our human ancestors, who lived alongside the woolly mammoth and the cave lion, knew their voices intimately. By recreating these sounds, we are not just hearing an extinct animal, we are connecting with the sensory world of our own forebears. This connection fosters a profound sense of perspective. The history of life on Earth is immensely long, and our own time on this planet is but a fleeting moment. We have only just begun to listen. The voices we have managed to reconstruct, the booming hadrosaur, the rumbling tyrannosaur, the trumpeting mammoth, are merely the first few notes in a vast, unheard symphony. For every species whose voice we can begin to hypothesize, there are thousands more locked away in their stony silence. What melodies filled the air of the Permian period? What strange calls echoed through the Cambrian explosion? Think of the giant insects of the Carboniferous period, wingspans over 2 feet. What sound did they make as they flew through the primeval forests? Consider the great marine reptiles that hunted in the ancient oceans. They would have communicated underwater. But how? Clicks and whistles like dolphins? Deep resonant moans like whales? As our technologies become more refined, as our understanding of bioacoustics deepens, and as new fossils are unearthed from forgotten corners of the globe, we will undoubtedly unlock more of these sonic secrets. Each new fossil skull with a preserved inner ear, each bone showing attachment points for vocal muscles, is a new key. We may one day reconstruct the dawn chorus of a Jurassic morning, a complex, layered soundscape as rich and varied as a rainforest today. This is the ultimate invitation of paleontology, a call to curiosity. Look at a simple stone and imagine the life it once held, not just what they looked like, but what they sounded like. Listen to the silence, and imagine the noise. The great library of Earth still holds countless unheard melodies, and we are, at last, learning how to read the music.